Hey, and welcome to live lessons from here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm so glad that you are here with us. Hey, just for fun, type in where you're from. That's always fun for us here. I'm Steve Krenz, and you are watching Gibson's Learn to Master Guitar Live, and we are so honored to have with us Gordon Kennedy. Gordon, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Steve. My pleasure, yeah.
We're going to learn a lot about Gordon here in a few minutes. Let's see where you guys are from. Rapid City, South Dakota, San Antonio, my hometown, Columbus, Georgia, California, New Jersey, Orlando, Long Island, New York, Seattle, Ontario. Great to see you guys. Glad y'all are here.
I've been everywhere. I thought you were singing that song.
Well, we could. We might as well do that. Tonight we're going to be talking about studio guitar. We're talking about songwriting, and we're so honored to have Gordon Kennedy. The great Gordon Kennedy is here with us. And so great to have him here. Couldn't think of a better person to introduce studio guitar and songwriting to you guys. Before we get started, let me just tell you a little bit about how this evening's going to go. We'll have some giveaways that are going to happen a little bit later on in the broadcast. So what you need to do if you want to be a part of our giveaways is you need to be logged into us at ustream.tv. You can log in there, and then once you're kind of in our chat, then we pick a few folks, and we'll have some giveaways. Tonight we're giving away, what are we giving away? We're giving away a tuner by the good folks over at IntelliTouch Tuners, giving away a Song Hits course, and we're giving away an Epiphone electric guitar pack. So it's going to be a great night. Let's get right into it. Gordon, can you play us something?
I'll be happy to. Let's do, this is a Bonnie Raitt song that I wrote with friends Wayne Kirkpatrick and Tommy Sims. Mm-hmm. Because she asked us if we would write a song for her after we had a Clapton song. Mm-hmm. One of the nice things that happened to us as songwriters is, we went from writing songs, trying to figure out how to get them to artists, to maybe having some of those artists start calling us, instead. So this is the thing that we sent her and that she did on the Silver Lining record. Mm-hmm. Where were you when I was falling down, buzzing round your heart? Why'd you wait till I was moving on to come out of the dark to say I'm what you need? You could spend your life with me. Well, I can't help you now. No, I can't help you now. No, I can't help. Maybe there was a time, wish I could somehow, but I can't help you now. It's been 40 days since I stopped counting the days, counting the ways that I love you. It's been a good long while since I found good enough reason stop believing that you are what I really want. Now that you do, baby, I don't. Well, I can't help you now. No, I can't help you now. No, I can't help. Maybe there was a time, sometime time runs out, and I can't help you now. Oh, no. Now you say I'm not one you need. You could spend your life with me. Well, I can't help, no, I can't help you now. No, I can't help you now. No, I can't help. Maybe there was a time, wish I could somehow, but I can't help you. I can't help you now.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thanks.
And that was recorded on which project?
Silver Lining.
Silver Lining.
It's she just put out a new record, and we have a song on there. This newest one's called Slipstream. The one before that, Souls Alike, and then the one before that, Silver Lining.
Okay.
And had that. It was the first single from that record.
Gordon has done so many things over the years. Not only a great guitarist in his own right, he's worked with, gosh, I know I'm going to forget all the people that you've worked with. Amy Grant, Faith Hill, Billy Ray Cyrus, She Daisy, Winona. You were on the road with Peter Frampton for a while?
Yeah, I've done a few albums with him and done 2 tours with him.
Yeah, I think I saw you for one of the times when you were with Peter Frampton.
Yeah.
Michael McDonald, Jewel, Kenny Loggins, Garth Brooks, Ricky Skaggs, and probably 1,000 others that I don't know.
You know, I used to ride in the car on family vacation, and my father, who was a session player and producer, I remember him reaching over and turning up the radio and saying, "Hey, I think I played on this." And I remember being in the back seat thinking, well, did you or didn't you, you know? And then that would happen to me one day, too, where I was listening to the radio and I heard something and just driving by myself said, well, there's somebody trying to do something like what I do. Mm-hmm. That's me. Who's the artist? And I had to wait till they back announced before I realized what was going on. But I heard myself and didn't know it was me for a few minutes. But
now, you also, you came here to Nashville when you were really young.
Yeah.
And your dad was a studio guitarist.
Right. He and Mom moved us here. I was a year old. Mm-hmm. And we came from Louisiana, Shreveport, where my folks had worked on their sort of equivalent to the Grand Ole Opry in Shreveport was a show called the Hayride, Louisiana Hayride. And Elvis, Hank Williams, a lot of huge artists played the Hayride. And even my mom and dad actually performed together. And they got married at 17, had me at 19, and we were in Nashville when I was a year old. He was going to come up here to give it a go, you know. And so I think right about the time they were sort of ready to throw the towel in, like it wasn't going as fast as he hoped it would, a man named Shelby Singleton came down from a meeting in Chicago and said that they had just made him the head of Mercury Records in Nashville. He wanted my father as his second in charge. So Dad had a job, a steady job, and a steady income that allowed him to stay here. And so subsequently, my dad would, you know, play recording sessions for like Roy Orbison. He played Pretty Woman, you know, Oh Pretty Woman. He's on Elvis, Good Luck Charm, and Tammy Wynette, Stand By Your Man, Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde record that was done, most of it was done here in Nashville, and Ringo's second solo album, and Leroy Van Dyke, Just Walk On By. He's the dobro, the lead stuff on Harper Valley PTA, Jeannie C. Riley.
Amazing. And
so, and all of, you know, the George and Tammy stuff, they would have my dad on as, they always had him on as leader for those sessions. And then as a producer, he would produce, you know, Roger Miller's King of the Road when my dad was 25 years old.
Wow.
And they did, you know, they had, I think, 11 number ones or something in a row or something crazy, and a bunch of Grammy awards. So he was into production at that point and wound up running Mercury Records here in Nashville for 21 years, and during those years signed Reba McEntire, her first deal. He signed, or he was the Statler Brothers producer for, I think, 32 years. Signed Tom T. Hall, Johnny Rodriguez, and you know, his influence reaches far and wide as far as playing, producing. He's, you know, done songwriting. He did all of Jerry Lee Lewis's country stuff too as a producer. So, but yeah.
And then how did you get your start at playing guitar?
Well, having that as the environment at home, I could remember coming in the basement when we lived in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, walking from the garage into the basement and being confronted immediately by all these guitar cases, my dad's guitars. And I'm like 7 years old or something when I'm telling you what I'm remembering.
Mm-hmm.
An upright piano right here on the wall, and then a jukebox on the wall over here that spun 45s.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew how to reach back there and flip this little toggle switch to just make the thing come on and play records without having to put money in it.
Yeah.
And I would spin these records, and I would lay on the floor and listen to those records and feel the floor shake,
Yeah.
It was like the room was just vibrating. And I dreamt about, I want to do this. I want to do something in music when I get older, like,
Mm-hmm.
when I grow up to do what my dad did is what I wanted to do. And so, he would give us the mandatory harmony guitars,
Mm-hmm.
when we were, for Christmas when we were little fellers. But then when I was 15, he gave me a Telecaster.
Yeah.
And sort of that was the point of no return for me. I knew that, there's no
Did he
looking
teach
back.
you a few things, or did you just
No.
figure it out on your own?
Here, and
That was old school.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
And I remember asking him a couple of questions, but for the most part, though, he showed me where it was and then left me alone to sort of learn, and that was sort of how I got started, and probably didn't write a song until I was maybe more like 18 years old or something, which I can't even remember what it was now,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember doing it at where I went to high school. And
what was your first big recording session, or the first time that you started to really?
Well, my dad actually hired me to play on a Johnny Rodriguez session when I was the summer of my junior year
Mm-hmm.
in high school. So I joined the union here in Nashville and went and played on a Johnny Rodriguez album, and I did a solo on this album, and then my dad and I together played twin guitar parts on another song from the same album. So that was my first professional
Yeah.
job. It would be after I got out of college, though, that I would sort of start figuring out what direction I needed to go as
Mm-hmm.
far as making this a livelihood. I was in a Christian rock band for
Right.
6 years
Whiteheart,
called
yeah.
Whiteheart, and I didn't even mean to join that. I was subbing. I was going to sub for 3 shows for my good friend Dan Huff,
Dan Huff, yeah.
and then 6 years later I left the band. And so that was the first thing that required me to go and, okay, I'm going to be writing songs for this group. Now I need to go get a publishing deal, and so I was sort of into it because of that band,
Yeah.
learning the ropes, and the only thing I didn't really do for those 6 years was make any money to speak of. So I was always struggling, but I always figured that if I wrote songs, it would be the thing that would cause me to have to do everything else I know how to do ultimately.
Yeah.
So because of writing songs, even to this day, I might go and, well, they might say, come sing that part,
Mm-hmm.
come tour with me,
Mm-hmm.
with Peter Frampton, and come co-produce with me, and come do this or whatever, come play on this TV thing or whatever. So
Mhm.
it's the songwriting that I feel like might have been more of an afterthought when I was first getting started, maybe the thing that generates,
Yeah.
the other things that I do now,
Yeah.
causes that to happen.
One of the sayings here in Nashville is that it all starts with a song, and I've heard you describe so much about how the whole industry rides on.
Yeah,
back
I mean,
of the
if you
songwriter.
look at the music industry, it's an upside down pyramid with the songwriter at the very bottom, the
Yeah.
tip down there.
Yeah.
Last one to get paid. They're the reason why everybody over their head has a job.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of respect, a healthy respect for songwriters in Nashville. It's a great place to be if you are a songwriter.
Yeah. One of the songs that has is so memorable that Gordon helped co-write is the song "Change the World" by Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton eventually recorded it,
Right.
but he wasn't the first one
That's right.
that recorded it.
Well, Wayne and I were trying to do the artist thing back in the early 90s.
Mhm.
And we had this label showing interest. They were pushing us to go back to the studio, do 2 more songs, do a few more songs, bring us a pop hit. I can get you an alternative hit out of this batch. And this was the language that we were hearing for a little while there. And so we would go back and continue to produce more songs. And over a stretch of time, that was one of the last songs that was demoed and turned in. And well, the guy who was looking at signing us or developing us as an act at that point decided that he wasn't interested, so he passed over on us as a group. So we kind of walk away at that point thinking that we failed. And then I get a new publishing deal with a guy named Doug Howard at Polygram Music at the time, who had been in the tape copy room the years that I was in Whiteheart.
Yeah.
So when I would turn in a song, Doug Howard would take it and pop it into the machine, and he would jump around the room playing air guitar to it. And I thought, there's the last guy that's going to enjoy my song.
That is the end.
But he would leave a year before I did to go do law school in D.C.
Yeah.
Well, in the fall of '92, now this is 3 years has gone by at this point, and he calls me, "What are you doing right now?" "Nothing." "Well, I'm coming back to Polygram to run the company." I still don't know how that happened. He said, "But I want you back over there because I like what you do." And the first song I turned into him was "Change the World."
Yeah.
And asked if they could get it to Clapton, because they had just had a hit with "Tears in Heaven." So I thought, if he's doing acoustic pop, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how it happened. That what Polygram was able to do was get it placed with Winona Judd.
Yeah.
And so we're told, man, this is going to be a hit. It'll be a big single for her, and they start making the album. Well, she has a baby and some personal things in her life that caused that album to take 2.5 years before it sees daylight. And so by the time the record comes out, we watched, and they put 1 and then 2 and then a third single off the record, and none were our song.
Yeah.
So now we're walking away a second time saying we failed, But the summer of '96 rolled around, and I'm sitting in a studio working on a session, and then Tommy Sims is sitting across the room from me with his bass and said, "By the way," he said, "GK," he said, "by the way, we're getting another cut on Change the World." "Really? Who?" "Eric Clapton." And so I was just sort of like, I think I stared at him without saying anything for a couple of minutes. I said, "Are you kidding me?" He says, "No, they say it's happening. It's going to be a single. It's a soundtrack."
That's going to be a soundtrack for a movie.
Phenomenon. Yeah. And we didn't have all those details straight. But yeah, within like a couple of weeks, we had a tape of Clapton's session, Babyface produced. And then that fall got nominated, to go to the Grammys. And Clapton won one for Pop Male Vocal Performance. He and Babyface won one for Record of the Year. And then we got the Songwriter award that year.
Song of the Year.
Yeah, so without going, it would take a couple of hours to tell the whole story, but this is the first time where I'm walking away thinking that we didn't fail, but it has something deeper than just wanting success. It has something more to do, to me, with timing as the way God has it planned for us, over and above what we think is supposed to be going on. Because remember, my original wish was we wanted to be artists, and so we want to, can you imagine Change the World being released by, I think the name of our group at the time was going to be the Mute Brutes of Labor. And so we might have given the copyright for Change the World the equivalent of a decent funeral, but then and it wasn't the thing we were shooting for, but it winds up being a Clapton song. Yeah. So ask me which I prefer, all these years later.
Well, let's play it.
Sure.
I charted it out, and so I'll try and kind of keep up with you.
You just fiddle around and have fun, and I'll hold the fort down over here, as it were. Let me tune this thing up, because that's not going to do. There's the culprit.
Tuning is something you never get around, whether you're.
And it's a good thing this is not live, right? Okay. See if this is better. If I could reach the stars, pull one down for you, shine it on my heart, so you could see the truth, that this love I have inside is everything it seems. But for now I find only in my dreams I can change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Baby, if I could change the world. If I could be king, even for a day, I'd take you as my queen. I have it no other way. And my love would rule in this kingdom we had made. Till then I'll be a fool, wishing for a day I can change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love is really something good. Baby, if I could change the world. Baby, if I could change the world. If I could change the world, I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good. Baby, if I could change the world, if I could change the world, if I could change the world. Nice, nice.
Beautiful.
Very cool.
Beautiful. Thank you
Good
so
job,
much.
man. Thank you.
Wow. I hope you guys are having a great time. We've got a couple of things. Give Gordon a break here from talking for a second. Wanted to mention a couple of things for you. Wanted to give away something. This is from IntelliTouch tuners. My favorite little tuner that I've been using lately is these little. It's a little clip-on tuner, similar to the one that Gordon has. You clip it on the end of the guitar. It senses the vibrations of the string. And so somebody's going to win this. You ready? The winner of this IntelliTouch mini tuner is Outdoor Eyes. Outdoor Eyes, OUTDOOREYES. You have just won this. Just email us at service@legacylearningsystems.com with all of your information, your mailing address, phone number, things like that. And we will send this out to you. So congratulations. You've won that. That's always a lot of fun. I wanted to mention also, we've got our resources that we have. We had such a response from the last month's resources. We did a bunch of Beatles resources last month. And we had such a response from that we've kind of left the sale up for a few more days. So if you want to get in on those Beatles resources, just click the resources link, which is underneath the Ustream window there. I believe it's a blue button, and that'll get you to our resources. Then we've got some more resources that are coming up this month. We're building the page for that now, so give a couple of days, and those will be ready. But we've had a lot of fun with the Beatles resources, so been great. And I think that's all. We also have a part of those resources is the Guitar Maintenance Pack, our guitar setup course by Greg Voros at Grun's Guitars. He teaches you how to set up your guitar, how to maintain your guitar, as well as you get some guitar polish and fretboard conditioner, things like that. So anyway, check that out. That's always fun. Great. Let's. We're going to take a quick break here for a second, kind of give us a chance to catch our breath, and so hang with us. Give us about 30 seconds, and we'll see you on the other side.
Furthering your education, Legacy Learning Systems offers a unique resource to all students, the Learn and Master online community. Here you can communicate with fellow students and course instructors and immerse yourself into an interactive community where knowledge, fun facts, and experiences are shared. Signing up is easy. Take your learning to the next level. The Learn and Master online community, your place for serious instruction. Legacy Learning Systems' Learn and Master line of courses features an exclusive multimodal learning process to build skills from the ground up. By utilizing 4 modes of learning: reading, listening, watching, and doing, even a complete beginner can follow this easy-to-use program of self-directed study. Building confidence and skills, our system allows the learner to progress through intermediate and advanced levels to full mastery. Each course contains between 12 and 22 DVDs of visual instruction, a full printed workbook, access to our online support community, as well as 3 to 5 audio CDs in our music courses, which include fully produced jam-along tracks. Learn in the privacy of your own home, at your own pace with the Learn and Master family of courses. Bring your dream within reach.
All right, we're back. Thanks for hanging with us here. We got a treat for you. Gordon brought some kind of show and tell guitars. So tell us about some of these wonderful instruments and the musical history that has been on these guitars.
Yes. All right. Well, first up, this is a 1959 Les Paul Standard that was owned by John Sebastian and used on all of the Lovin' Spoonful records. So
that's the actual guitar.
This is the guitar.
And what songs were
Do You Believe in Magic?
Do You Believe?
Summer in the City.
Yeah.
Nashville Cats, which was my favorite when I was like 6 years old. And Daydream, What a Day for a Daydream is on this.
Yeah.
All of their stuff that they did, and quite a story with the guitar as well. I don't know if you want me to tell, but
yeah.
One of the things you might read about at some point down the road, because John Sebastian and I did a piece for a Vintage Guitar magazine earlier this spring on this guitar, and so he told a little bit about the history of when he had it, and I've talked about it since acquiring it. And but he told me when we were doing that interview, and he and I on the phone were just chatting one day, and he said, perhaps I ought to tell them the story of my other guitar. And I said, what's that all about? And he said, well, before I was playing this one, the Burst, he said, I had a gold top. And so I'm thinking it must have been the 57 because it had his humbuckers on it.
Yeah.
And he said, as we were signing our record deal with Lovin' Spoonful, that was my guitar. It had been my main guitar. And he said, but I'm asking myself, is that the guitar that an up-and-coming, about to be rock star should be playing? And he said, I decided that the answer was no. And he couldn't give a reason why. He said, in any event, he let Rick Derringer have that guitar. And then he got this from Zal, the other guy in Spoonful with him. His kid brother owned this, and he had bought the thing out of a mom and pop shop in Florida. And so I think John paid I think he paid $125 for this. I got a letter that he included when I bought the guitar. So now Derringer's got the gold top. Well, he's playing it for a while and enjoying it, but then all of a sudden, and as is the case with some of the 50s gold top Les Pauls, the gold starts to turn green on it.
Yeah.
So he decides he wants to have it refinished, and he gets it painted red. Gets it back, it looks fine, but he said it no longer feels the way that he wanted the guitar to feel. So he decided, it's not for me anymore. So he let Eric Clapton have it. And that's the guitar that Clapton used on While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And then he gave it to George Harrison, and he's used it all over the White Album, and it's still in his possession, his estate. And but that was John Sebastian's guitar first also.
Wow.
And supposedly, according to the letter that I have from John, and having talked to him on the phone about this guitar, he was playing this on stage in the late 60s when Bloomfield comes to a show. And so Mike Bloomfield walks up to him after the show and says, what is that? I've got to have one. And he said the next time I see Bloomfield playing live, he'd stop playing his 335 that he'd been playing pretty exclusively and had his own 59 Sunburst Les Paul, which sort of tipped the dominoes for a whole bunch of guys that followed,
Yeah.
And Clapton would be in the line there. Joe Walsh would get onto him, and then gave one to Jimmy Page that's on the Zeppelin records, and so this is kind of like you see it going like this going forward. But this the one that John Sebastian was using in the 60s might have been the one that set that in motion.
Set that whole Les Paul thing in motion.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible that this could be sort of like the zero Les Paul for who all we've seen playing them today, you know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So that's
Amazing.
and this is sort of the guitar that I have to measure all the other ones that I play now by. This thing sounds, it's ridiculous. It is. It's ridiculous. And then you want me to bring this other one up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this is your dad's guitar.
Yeah. This is a 1961 ES 335 that my dad purchased new in 61. When he bought it, it had a Bigsby tremolo on it.
Mm-hmm.
But see,
Yeah, that's kind of, what is that, a B-bender?
yeah, he had a guy named Dean Porter, and I've also seen in pictures that another session guitarist from those days, Grady Martin, had this Dean Porter fellow do the same thing to his guitar, although I remember seeing an extra one for a G string here. The way my dad's guitar was set up by Dean was if you run the B string across the bridge through this little eye right here, you can, so you're emulating steel guitar licks with this as your B bender. And I use that all the time. I've used that over the years. Now this other thing here, if you choose to do so, you can put the spring back in here and run your high E string across the bridge, but it traveled a little bit too far. I could always feel the tension difference, and it always kind of weirded me out a little bit, so I never used this. But this would be to take the high E string down a step, and back up, so it'd be dropping it. But I mean, you recognize this piece right here. Care to venture, like take a little guess as to what that is right there?
I don't know.
This is actually the drain stop in a sink or a bathtub.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It looks like some plumbing.
Yeah, I mean, this is how homemade this is.
Yeah.
And so that's just, you know, everybody's got that at their house right now. So.
And what, there's been a lot of famous songs that have been played on that guitar.
Yeah, I mean, he played this on Orbison's Pretty Woman. Oh, Pretty Woman is
so
the correct
that's
title.
the guitar, that famous intro on Pretty Woman that...
Yeah. Was done on this.
That was the guitar that...
And so this is also on Elvis, Good Luck Charm, you know. Come on and be my little good luck charm is on this. This is on Stand By Your Man, Tammy Wynette. I think I mentioned maybe earlier, but like Ringo Starr's second solo album, which was done in Nashville, this would have been the guitar my dad took to those dates. And and Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde double album.
Famous.
Famous. And so, and then a whole bunch of standards, you know, country, and not just country, but, you know, a lot of country standards.
Because your dad played with Chet Atkins and with all of
Well,
those
he didn't play with Chet. I mean, he played for Chet. For some artist. You know, it's so weird when you get hired. If you're a guitar player who gets hired by somebody like Chet Atkins who's producing it, you know, and I've done the same thing when I've been sitting on a session and Dan Huff's in the control room. I'm sitting there thinking, here, you know, you come do this, let me watch. But so yeah, and actually, you know, Chet produced a record on my dad when my dad was 10 years old.
Goodness.
So just a real quick story. I grew up knowing just a handful of details about my father's childhood, and in no particular order. I just knew that his daddy died when my dad was just 9. I also knew that he took his first guitar lesson at the age of 9. I think maybe in my mind I was, you know, spinning this, reality that he probably thought, well, I'm the man of the house now, I got to go to work or whatever. But he made a record at 10 years old. But I asked my grandmother one time about my dad having taken that guitar lesson when he was 9 years old. What was the, you know, whose idea was that? Oh, that was his dad's idea. Really? Yeah, his daddy said to him, you know, how would you like to take guitar lesson? That would be fun. So my grandfather, who I'm named after, Gordon Kennedy, deputy sheriff in Caddo Parish, Shreveport, Louisiana, puts my dad in his car, 9 years old, takes him and drops him off to see a man named Tillman Franks. And incidentally, Tillman, as a songwriter, wrote songs that people are familiar with, co-authored Honky Tonk Man, I'm a Honky Tonk Man, North to Alaska, Sink to Bismarck, stuff with Johnny Horton. Anyway, he gave my dad his first guitar lesson on a Friday afternoon. He taught him how to play a song called "How Far Is Heaven."
Mm-hmm.
And then my dad would come home and kind of sneak off to somewhere in the house, learn how to practice that so he could surprise his dad for it, which he did Sunday night. And then the next day, Monday, is when my grandfather passed away.
Mm.
And so, I thought it wasn't lost on me that he put my dad on the path he would be on the rest of his life, just not even 3 days before he was checking out of here.
Yeah.
And that's affected the path that I'm on too, so it's, that's how we got into the music business.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's take a couple of questions. We've been just chatting so long here. Let me give away one thing and then we'll take a few questions. One of the songs I did a course, the Song Hits course. One of the songs in there is Pretty Woman, isn't it? Yep, Pretty Woman's in there. And so I'm teaching the lick that was played on that guitar by your dad.
Yeah,
so anyway, so someone's going to win. This is a Song Hits course that I did. If you're going through our normal guitar course and need a good resource, you're tired of playing some of the simpler songs, go and get yourself the Song Hits course. There's 2 songs for every session. They're just classic songs. Pretty Woman, Rock Around the Clock, I Fought the Law, Taking Care of Business, Yesterday, all kinds of songs. Anyway, someone's going to win this. The winner of this Song Hits course is Lunatech 1. Lunatech 1. Lunatech 1. You just won this, and so congratulations. Congratulations. All right, well, let's take a few questions. Let's see, I've got one up here. DM Strong is asking, James Taylor recommends tuning an acoustic with a tuner that is sensitive to sense, which is how you measure the tuning. He tunes from top down. Wow, pretty 12 below, 10 below, 8, 4, 6, 3. I think it's to compensate for the use of the capo. Do you know anything about this?
Well, the temper tuning system, is that what you're referring to?
I think that's probably what he's referring to.
The Buzz Feiten.
Yeah.
And that is, you have to have a tuner that you can calibrate each individual string to a certain calibration. So it's not just 440 or whatever across the board. It's a tempered tuning where each string is set to a certain individual calibration that's already, because I think what all that
now
was,
they do it by compensating the nut or something, don't they?
Well, you can do that. You can do that. And I think, but there's a way to do it without having to alter the guitar. But I think that's the system. Because I think what happens is people have noticed over the years that if you tune the guitar for a certain inversion of a chord, and the further up you start playing the neck, things are getting a little weird. And even in first inversion chords, sometimes it's this chord that's the culprit. But so that tempered tuning thing, and I've never owned a guitar that has
I
had
haven't
that.
owned a guitar that has
but
that.
yeah, it involved with. I think the bridge is altered just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not the expert, so.
Have you ever worked with James Taylor?
No, I have not.
Yep.
Would love it.
Any other questions? We have a question. Sea Salt says, please, 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 can we hear the ES335? I have nothing. We have nothing is plugged. I mean, I guess we could just plug it into my acoustic channel, but I don't know how that's going to sound.
It'll just be a letdown.
It would just be a letdown. Joe Arrow, you're saying, I see you doing this and have been shunned for reaching the thumb over the top. Is like when you play, reaching the thumb over the top.
Yeah.
I know Tom Bresch, of course, he plays all the time with the thumb over the top.
Right.
And some players do, some players don't. I could never really get my hands not large enough to come over the top and do it.
Are they saying that's a no-no, or is it?
Well, just I had learned to do it without it and keeping the wrist low, just for the facility of the being able to do it. But if you can reach over, you can get a few bass notes that I wouldn't be able to.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes it allows me to get get some different and I do it really without thinking about it. It wasn't conscious to it allows me to think of this as just totally separate from this up here, but I mean, again, I'm not somebody that should ever be teaching anybody anything because I haven't had anybody teach me, so I might lead them astray real fast. But anyway, yeah, that's just I don't know, without thinking about it.
Well, it's neither right nor wrong, and let me just say that it's just a technique. If you can figure that out to work around that and to be able to make that chords, the main idea is that you're in control of it. You're in control when you use it, and you're in control when you don't want to use it. You don't want to necessarily have your hand up here like a hook when you're trying to do intricate things with your fingers because you just can't get enough facility to do it. So I kind of start out when I'm teaching people. You start out with the wrist low, but if you can grab for chord playing, can grab lower bass notes, I don't have a problem with that.
How would you, like if we were doing the Frampton, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you do this?
I couldn't do that.
Say,
See, there's certain things I couldn't do.
yeah. So that's how, do you? So I don't know if there's another way to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe there is.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Now, you played with him for 2 years?
Well, we started writing together in '99, and then we worked on an album together called Now.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the winter of '03, I went to Europe with him, and he and I, just the two of us with acoustic guitars, did a sort of a tour, a radio tour, as a preparation for him to take his full band back over in the spring of '04. Well, I think, or February of '04, and that's the tour where they did 2 shows, and Bob Mayo died.
Oh,
After
yeah.
the second show,
Yeah.
on a train platform in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So that tour was over, and I, it took a while before Peter could even call me, and then about a week or so after that, he called me and said, I've got this commitment to touring with Styx this spring going into the summer. He said, I can't do it if you don't go with me.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why I did the first tour with him in '04, and then '06 was All's Well with the World, and it just worked out that we could go and do that together.
And then you produced
The Fingerprint
record,
Fingerprints,
which one ended up winning a Grammy for Best Rock Instrumental.
Yeah, and Pop Instrumental.
Pop Instrumental.
And it got him, that was his first Grammy. Can you believe that?
Really?
And a lot of people would think, oh my gosh, didn't the live album win? You know what he lost to? Hotel California. So
See, some things are just not right in the world.
Yeah. You put that record out, and the same year they put that record out, but and it sounds so good to this day, that live album.
Yeah.
And he just did the 35th anniversary tour last year, and got his guitar back. That's a story.
Had a question on the board, Amoroso Law. How does one get into session work? Wow, I wish there was a straight answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always been about, the networking aspect of all of this stuff. And, a lot of it has to do with, in some ways, when I came out of Belmont College, there was already somewhat of a network established, because you've got your group of peers that are all at the starting gate with you together. And this guy right here is an engineer. This girl sings, she writes, and it keeps going this way. And you all come out together, and you realize immediately that, well, I want to play sessions. So I don't care if I get paid for it or not. I just want the experience. Well, you find the engineer guy who needs, he's a second engineer at some studio, but he needs hands-on experience, mixing and recording things. And so he calls you on the weekend and says, I got the studio this weekend, nobody's there, can you put together something? So now I just want to play, and he wants something to record. Somebody may be a songwriter and can't figure out how to get their songs demoed. So it all starts this way. Well, that always continues. Once you've established that this is how it's done, it continues to be done that way, but just at different levels. And it may be at some point where, whereas I used to be with, I'm writing on the bulletin board at Belmont that I want the studio on this date 4 weeks from now, and that's when I got to sit around and wait till it's my turn, But I'm with a whole bunch of people that are doing at the exact same place, and then all these years later, it's that kind of never changes, But it's just a different place or a level, or we've gotten this much further into it, and the experience has allowed us to, to do it at a different level or something like that. But it's always, to me, it's always been about networking and also being ready for when it's your turn, And a lot of that has to do with all the years that I was doing stuff not getting paid, It was preparing me for perhaps when it was going to be my turn at some point.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I never have been one to, like, you won't catch me trying to beat down a closed or a locked door, but you very rarely not see me walk through a door that's open.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because I figure there's a reason why that door opened, and so I'm more apt to sort of pursue that more readily. You know.
Yeah. I'm just reminded of a drummer that we have actually used on some of our courses, Chris Terrell, who went to Belmont as well. And Chris played on everybody's late night, we can only get to studio at midnight demo kind of a thing. And Chris played for all that. He played on the blues course that we did. Chris played that and was just played for everything, and worked his way playing gigs after gigs after gigs. And now he's the drummer for Lady Annabella. Last time I saw Chris, he was in the Grammys. So, yeah. And that was just a couple of years ago. Sleeping Angel is asking, do you write the words first or the melody or together?
For me, the majority of the time, or even 99% of the time, it's music and melody first. You know, a lot of times I sort of gravitate to a guitar at my home and my studio at home, like a lot of people gravitate to their smartphone or whatever. I keep reaching for those things all day, and sometimes I might be telling myself, you know, I need to practice, or I want to hear this guitar through that amp or this new device that I got or whatever. But all of that ends up being a ruse, and within a couple of minutes I'm trying to find something to record an idea. So I stockpile a bunch of ideas, and I'm always, you know, pretty deep in, you know, music riffs, chord progressions, and melodies. And then at the point where it's time to write, I sort of let those music ideas invoke you know, the lyric a little more. It's harder for me to do a lyric first. I've done it, you know, I have done it, but I don't prefer that.
Now, I know some songwriters are get a flash of inspiration, quick, let me write it down, and 20 minutes later the song's done.
Right.
And I know there's guys here in town that punch a clock, grab a cup of coffee, and head down to a writing room and sit in this little cubicle from 8 to 5.
Yep, people do it that way too.
And just
That's not me,
create
though.
on demand.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've never, you know, I don't believe in writer's block. I just don't believe in that. You know, and they've the songs over the years, which probably are numbering something around 600 for me, maybe, or something like that. But you know, I mean, it varies as to, you know, Change the World was a year-long process, and we passed it like a baton. None of us, the three of us, were in a room together when the other guys did what they did on that song. So it was over the course of a year. Hey, that thing you showed me, you know, 4 months ago, let me work on that. And then it would sort of get put back in park for a while, and then, you know, then finally it gets done. But it took a year from the first time the idea was played to being demoed.
Yeah.
But then there are some that happen, like you find yourself writing something, and then you realize within a few minutes that really you're just trying to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Because it's there, it's coming out, and so now you're just chasing this thing. And I can share you this one really cool thing that when we were working on the Skaggs Mosaic record, Don Potter, who's a gifted, wonderful, oh my gosh, and he actually is the guy that came to Polygram Music Publishing Company for Winona to listen to songs for what would be her next album, and the only song he left there with that day was Change the World. So I hug you, Don, wherever you are right now, because that, you know, that if it weren't for that, Clapton would have never heard it. I'll connect those dots on another show. But he said that as we were starting this Mosaic record, he visited Ricky. He said, "Ricky, I got to tell you about this dream I had." He goes, "Really? It was so real, it couldn't have been just a dream." But he said, and nevertheless, in my dream, he said, God took me to heaven. He said, I'm walking around in heaven, and he said, I hear this faint sound of this music, and I listen a little closer, and I realize that is a song I wrote. He said, I couldn't believe it. He said, I went and grabbed the first angel I could get my hands on. So he's got this angel by the collar, and he gets right in this angel's face and says, you're playing one of my songs here in heaven. And he said, the angel looked right in my face. You've been playing one of ours.
Wow.
And so I think I'll never be stuck for where did you get that song idea? You know, and there have been times when I would have gone, you know, I don't know, I don't remember where that idea came from, but I'll never say that again, because I really think that this is, you know, I guess it was, you know, Van Gogh that thought art was a communication between heaven and earth.
Yeah.
And so I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah. Wow, we are on the home stretch here. Bernie123 is asking, how much does a producer affect the song you write? Wow.
Well,
a lot.
Well, in the event that the producer is the writer of the song, they've already had a pretty good size stamp on what it's going to turn out to be. And a lot of times, like in the case of my working with Ricky Skaggs, you know, he wanted me to come produce with him because he liked the song, but he wanted to do it the way I had done the demo. Because I remember asking him, how are you going to do this bluegrass? He said, we're not. I want to do them like your demo, but I'm going to need you to help me do that. So I was there to kind of keep the songs that I had written going in that same direction that I heard them, as far as, you know, how to produce them and flesh them out. So, but then there may be times when, you know, if you're the songwriter but you're not the producer, you should just keep your mouth shut. You know, I mean, I could never have imagined how beautiful the song Maybe would turn out that Alison Krauss did of mine and Phil Madeira's. Even if you listen to my demo, our demo, and her record, it's like, how did you get to that from this? But I'm so glad I had nothing to do with, you know, trying to influence what would happen when she did that. It's just the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. So.
And you've been doing a lot with Ricky Skaggs lately. I know we had tried to get you a month or two ago, and you were in the studio with Ricky Skaggs.
Just got finished doing a bluegrass record. The second record I've done with him is pretty much all bluegrass. So that was a unique experience with him doing, because I thought, man, okay, I wanted to say to him, you don't need my help on this. You guys are the best in the world. But he again, it was because of songwriting and I think the experience we had doing the Mosaic record, which was the previous one, it's just, we've developed this, you know, friendship now, and I'm thankfully he feels like he wants me involved with, you know, stuff he's doing. So I'm very blessed that he.
And then you were in the studio with him, and then you did something with Barry Gibb as well.
Yeah,
talk to us about that.
Yeah, he wrote a song for the record, and
Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees.
Yeah,
the Bee Gees.
And so we were thinking at first that maybe Barry might do a record, you know, come to Nashville and do a record, but that sort of got turned into, it's not the time to do that right now, but why don't you record my song? He said that's a Ricky. So Ricky said, I will if you'll come sing on it. And he did. And in addition to coming and doing it at the studio, which was very surreal for me.
And this is just like a month ago,
right?
6 weeks ago.
And then he went and did a show at the Ryman on Bluegrass Night. Okay, I told him when you introduce him, say there's always been a B and a G in bluegrass. So he did that, and then we sang about 3 or 4 songs, and then the same thing the next night at the Grand Ole Opry House. And that was the first time Barry had been on the radio show, the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
And he was beside himself. He couldn't believe he was getting to do that.
Wow. Wonderful. Okay, well, we better wrap up. It's getting late already. Man, the time has flown by. We're going to give away one more thing. The great folks at Epiphone have given us an electric guitar pack. This comes with a little amp and a strap and some other things. And so it's a little Epiphone electric guitar pack. Someone is about to win this. The winner of this electric guitar from Epiphone is Jammer RGS. Jammer RGS. Please email us at service@legacylearningsystems.com with your mailing address, your phone number, things like that, and we will get you out to this guitar. Okay, so our winners for tonight are Outdoor Eyes. You won a tuner. Lunatech won. You won the Song Hits course. And Jammer RGS, you have just won this electric guitar from the good folks over at Epiphone. So we thank them for that. Now, let me tell you this. Not any of you are going to get any of these prizes unless you contact us. So we've had so many prizes go by where folks just they're making a sandwich or something and they don't know that they won. So email us right now. Don't forget, or we're going to give away your prize to somebody else next week. So, Gordon, can you play us one more out? I'll let you grab your guitar. Let me give a couple of announcements
Hey,
here.
can I play this one?
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if I put the capo on this, let me.
Can you get it?
Yeah, I think that's good.
While he's getting set up, a couple of announcements I need to let you know. Our August newsletter is going to be coming out next week with all kinds of... If you're not getting our newsletters, Fabian, maybe you can put up our newsletter archive link. So all of our newsletters are at... you can sign up for them, and they're all at this link that Fabian is going to put up here in a second. So our new newsletter is going to come out next week. They'll have a video tip in there. They'll have an article. We're going to be talking about guitar tone and getting a better tone out of your instrument, things like that, out of your gear. So that's what we're talking about next time. Also, we have some new lessons on Gibson Skills House. So we do a lot of the lessons that go on Gibson.com in an area called Gibson Skills House. If you look underneath the window, the Ustream window that you're watching this video on right now, one of the buttons underneath there will take you to Skills House. I believe it's the middle one. And that takes you to Gibson Skills House, where I have a new lesson that came up today on the money chords in C, which are just the really good chords that you end up hearing on songs all the time, these voicings of chords and those in the key of C. I also have another lesson up there on jazz guitar, kind of rhythm comping, kind of a Freddie Green approach. And then I also do power workouts, which are, if you have 10 minutes in your day and you want to work on something, go to the power workouts on Gibson Skills House. This week we've got one up there for major scales. So it'll help you practice your scales. 10 minutes of me just taking you right through a major scale workout. Some of the other guys have some other songs up there they're teaching this week. The New Black by Every Time I Die is up there, as well as Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is by Jet. So we've got a couple of the guys doing some of the song lessons as well. Our next live lesson is going to be next week, August 14th, and I'll be talking about guitar tone and things like that since that's kind of our theme for this month. I think that's it. If you like these live lessons, if you like what we do, please check out our Facebook page and like us there, or you can also rate us on Ustream. That helps us in so many different ways. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to help you learn how to play guitar and be able to inspire us all by Gordon and some of these many guests that we're able to have. So it's a joy to be able to do. So work hard at it. Being a musician is a fantastic thing. Fantastic thing. Gordon, what you going to play for us?
I'll do a song that's from that Mosaic project that I did with Skaggs.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I found one day. I had the capo up here because I think I was messing around with...
Yeah.
So, and while I was messing around with that, I just found this shape and started playing. So I got together one day with a friend, Ben Cooper, and we had been writing songs for this Skaggs record. So I thought, let's write this. And it's interesting that the word son does come up in this song, but it's spelled S-O-N. Anyway, it goes like this. Now when I was fresh from God, the first thing I heard as I came into this life was the sound of fear ringing in my ear, my own voice as life hit me and I cried. As I grew through the years, the chorus of temptation beckoned me to come and sing a part. But Jesus was the name that rolled from my mamma's tongue, settled in my heart. Now what I'm listening for through all noise, a whisper in my ear, the shepherd's voice. The confusion that the bustle brings, pretty song the siren sings, the sound of teeth against forbidden fruit. The fallen man who screams in pain, the groaning earth beneath the strain. Who could hope ever hear the truth? But what I'm listening for through all noise, A whisper in my ear, the shepherd's voice. Now when I am tired and I am weary of this life and I am done, I will close my eyes, let my spirit still till I hear the sun. Then what I'm listening for through all the noise, a whisper in my ear, shepherd's voice. What I'm listening for through all noise, a whisper in my ear, the shepherd's voice. Ooh.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you all for being here with us. Keep up the great work in your own practicing. Have a good week. Become a better musician next week than you were this week. We'll see you guys next time.